Okay, so more demon. I mean, I don't know, it's gonna be so bad now that I'm just watching it on spite or something. It was a kind of horrible, morbid pleasure or something, yeah. Oh god, now it's like terrible CGI coming through. I wasn't even kidding, guys. It's a circle city airport, but it's like, the CGI was terrible too, yeah, like, it's just like, it keeps going, man. Still frames. Still frames, still frames. Look on the still frame. Like, where's the animation? Yeah, like, still frame, like, I mean, still frames. Anime still frames! Like, we said, there's no animation! There's just no animation! Like, seriously. There hasn't been any animation for like the first, I don't know, like 5-minute episode. This is not an animation. This is literally you still frames. Okay, so I got something anime again. Seriously, okay. This anime, right? You know I'm just watching it because it's so bad, right? You know, it's so bad that it gets good, you know. And in some sense, this anime is so bad it gets good, right? Because it's like he goes around awing everyone in Stockholm Syndrome, and it's kind of funny, right? You know. And then the terrible animation to some extent was a little bit also like, oh, it's funny, that is good in a sense, right? And it was fun in episode 3 we met the Dryad lady, and then suddenly the animation was like Super Saiyan power up, and it was awesome, right? But now, seriously, for the last 3 minutes of this anime, I mean literally, the last 3 minutes plus the, you know, in the opening, right? And then before the opening. So it's like, I don't know, 7 minutes, whatever, in total. No animation! Just literally been still frame after still frame, right? This here is a still frame. Just seeing his face, right? Like here, for example, right? All ladies are standing. This is a still frame, right? Nothing actually is moving, right? The only thing that's happening is they're panning the camera over the scene. Let me show you. So I mean, they're just panning the camera, right? You know, good. It's just still frames, you know. It's just panning the camera. Panning the camera. Panning the camera. There hasn't been an animation. This is not an anime anymore. Now it's just black and like punching sounds in the background. I mean, they move his mouth a little bit, right? They say some princess here. They say the princess. Allegedly, this is more still frames. I mean, come on. Like, this is panning over her face now. And this is a very typical sheepsteak. So the fire is VFX. Could be the worst anime I've ever seen in my life. This very literally could be the worst anime I've seen. And I don't mean, like, you know, the writing. I mean purely from an animation standpoint. This actually is probably literally the worst animation I've ever seen in my life. This actually is worse than X-Arm and so on, because, you know, this thing here, right? For the first 7 minutes, it's been one scene that's been animated. One scene, right? And then after like another 5 minutes, there's one scene for like 10 seconds for animating their mouths, okay? You might think this here with the fire it's not animation, right? This is the cheap way to do it, because this is just still frame, right? And you have like a little graph here, you make it Unreal Unity, right? You put on the still frame. So it's a freaking still frame, right? And you have some fire effect over it. It's not actual animation, right? So far in the episode, I always watch a full episode now, there's been no animation, literally. Like, it is crazy! Like, this is seriously, arguably, literally the worst anime of all time. Like, seriously, this episode here. And I'll not be hyperbolic, I mean literally, there's nothing happening from an actual animation standpoint, right? And yes, it actually does look better, arguably, than like X-Arm and this incredible, terrible CGI stuff, right? But at least they're animating, you know, they're animating CGI, their armors are moving or whatever. These anime here are just still frames, right? This is like if I read a manga, right? I can have the manga and you show your manga panels. That would be more movement, be flexing the pages, right? You know, this is like this is equally amount animation as the manga, right? So this is not better than the manga. It has color, I guess. It's a color Isekai too. Probably. Yeah, she's probably Isekai. No animation though, she's still frame though, but still frame princess, but yeah, she's probably Isekai. They're actually animating her face a little bit, yeah. But honestly, so far in the episode, they only animated mouths. Yeah, they have animated mouths. Same thing here. A little bit of hand, okay. There again, this is not a still frame, right? The mouths are moving. Look at here, right? This is not a perfect still frame thing, because, okay, so to be fair, the mouths are moving, and that didn't even happen in the beginning of the episode, yeah. They didn't even move their mouths right in the beginning for the first like 5-6 minutes. No, not even the mouths were moving. Now it is slightly better in the episode, right? They are moving the mouths, but think about it. This is basically a still frame. They're moving, you know, across all his harem females, right? They're just like going over them. They're like zooming out, right? And just like showing you their faces, and no one's actually moving. It's just their mouths that are, you know, flexing, right? Nothing else actually happens. and they don't even have a background, right? Behind her is just like some kind of red fire thing, right? And they're inside like a house, so they've removed the background, right? It's just black behind them. It's ridiculous. So they're so lazy, yeah. This is so bad. Like it's so incredibly bad. Like it is literally. This is by far the worst anime I've seen this year. And I'm not even addressing the whole weird R-joke stuff or whatever, right? I'm talking about purely anime. I said it before, but this one here takes the prize because, again, they're not moving their mouth. They're only moving their mouths, right? Nothing else actually animated. They're just zooming out the panel over them, right? They have removed the background, so behind her, you can see between the characters, it's just kind of black and red or something, even though they're indoors. No, this is so lazy. They don't even have the background left. Yeah, they've removed the background. It's no animation. It's only still frames. It's just like this is like worse than a manga panel. This is like less animated than a manga panel. It's getting insane. Look at this thing here. It's like a wallpaper, you know. Like she's like running like that. Of course, not running. She's still frame. But you know, it's like this kind of thing where a character, she's like, "Whoa, butterflies!" I mean, it's just so lazy, as I said earlier, because they just take these like, you know, wallpaper moments. They have her standing like that, and or have the girls behind them, but no background or whatever. They also have a super ugly CGI thing. Okay, no, they're actually, to be fair, now the last minutes here, they are animating it. Okay, to be completely fair, they have a little bit animation here in the last fight. So to be completely fair, right, this here when he's fighting the Garuda thing or whatever, that has some animation to it. I mean, sure, it's only like a few seconds, a minute or two, but in that sense, it looked better. So this is like the worst anime ever, right? I mean, seriously. And you know, I don't say that. I keep saying it. I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic, right? I'm not saying this is it's so bad. Subscribe, press the like button, dudes. I'm here raging. Great channel, guys. You can love my content, but no. A lot of people do that, right? They will overplay their emotions or whatever, right? Or they will say that, oh, this is just terrible or whatever. And sure, to some extent, it's just entertainment, right? You know, entertainment, right? Yeah. So it's fun, right? And some other YouTubers I think are terrible because they're overplaying it or whatever. But my point here is that I'm not doing that. This is the worst thing I've seen this year. This is literally, objectively, the worst anime I've seen this year. Again, from an anime standpoint, absolutely it is. This has like no animation, right? This is like the worst thing I've seen this year. This is probably the worst thing I've seen in several years, right? And the only animes that come to my mind, you know, are these animes that are basically just memes, right? Like X-Arm, also the other anime called the Samurais, the time-traveling Samurais. It's like some kind of bio-blob thing. Can't even remember it. Oh, it's like Ingrip or something. It's a really weird name for it. But it's similar to X-Arm. It's like mixing CGI with world or something, and everything looks just incredibly off, right? So yes, there are animes that are worse. That high voltage, whatever it's called too, the same as X-Arm. And I mean, there are animes, right, that are just insanely ugly. X-Arm is probably the most famous one because it's the first one where they constantly mixing like CGI and, you know, animation, right? And you have like the main character and his brother, it's like sitting next to each other, and it's just like the worst thing ever because he's CGI, the other guy isn't, and he's just so weird. At least have both characters be CGI, right? So I mean, sure. I remember like Arifurata skeletons, just or like I am the wise grandson, whatever. No, not the one where he is the grandson's disciple, but the other one, he's like a gender bender when he becomes a woman instead, and becomes his own granddaughter, whatever it's called now again. But that one also has like some of the insanely worst guy I've ever seen in my life, where she's like fighting like a billion like goblins, like yeah, there's like a scene she's fighting like thousands of goblins in this like martial art fight, but every goblin is literally not moving. So every goblin is a CGI figure, just doing the exact same pose. I'm not kidding. Look at my market figure here, right? Like this market figure is a real life figure, one of my favorite figures, right? Look at this thing, beautiful figure, Maki. So imagine, right, that you have 5,000 market figures, right, like this, right? She's doing a cool move, right? If you have just them standing like this, you know, or on the table, right? Like 5,000 of her, right? That is literally how the anime looks in that scene. Like it's literally just 5,000 goblins, and I'm not kidding you. They all have just one exact pose. Yeah, they all have the exact same pose. And she's fighting them. She's running around. She's punching them. She's kicking them. She's a martial artist. She's punching the goblins, and literally everyone has the exact same pose in every scene. Yeah, that is probably, arguably, the worst like anime fight scene, so to speak, that exists. Like that is probably straight up like the worst fight scene that has ever been done. Like literally, I keep saying literally, but I really mean that one person against 5 Tyson statues, and they're not moving. Yeah, they're just standing there. It's like down. Like, yeah, like it's so bad. And then eventually, the next episode, they have red goblins too, angry goblins. Exact same thing, but like the red ones are slightly bigger than the red instead. So they put like a paint color on half of them. It's so lazy. Because I mean, obviously those goblins, right, are made in like Unreal or Unity or some other video game kind of 3D model system, right? Maya or something, whatever, right? They use some kind of like Blender or whatever. And you can obviously, if you made a goblin that has this like pose, you can pretty easily just lower the joint, right? To have this pose, and then maybe have that pose. That's why that anime, Grandsons, whatever, I'm the Reborn grandson, whatever, yeah, has probably the worst because, again, it is so easy, right, to at least make, like, at least 10 different poses, right, and maybe give one goblin a bow or something, and Mike can have an axe, and they have it, eventually, they have more variation, so I guess they were making it during, like, during the production, right, but in the beginning of those fights, it really is like, it can't be worse than this thing, yeah. That being said, though, bring it up, right. This episode here is arguably worse, okay? Yes, the fight was better. I have to give it that. The fight was better, right? It's a very short fight. He fights for like 2 minutes in the sky. And that actually looks like, I mean, it's not like Demon Slayer, like a guy, right? But, okay, they're animating it a little bit. So, okay, the fight is slightly, animated out, whatever. But of course, up to that point, this is the same animation the episode has, right? Literal still frames, right? Up to that point, the anime doesn't animate anything. Like I said earlier, they are moving their mouths, right, at some scenes. But for the first, like, 5 or 6 minutes or so, they were literally not even, like, a mouth scene. There's, like, one scene where his mouth was moving, and all those girls, like his harem ladies, right, they were, like, at a table. They're like... and they're just panning over them for, like, a minute. Yeah, so, like, they weren't even animating their mouths. So, for most of the scene... this episode, they're not even animating their mouths, right? And then the rest of the episode, as of course said earlier, are literal just still frames, right? Like I had a fire scene, that's a still frame, you put some effects over it, right? So, yeah, this is, like I said, this is easily the worst thing I've seen this year, like absolutely 100% the worst thing I've seen this year, and it is probably the worst anime I've seen in my life, in total, because, like I said, that fight, right, that CGI fight, in the isekai anime, or in core anime, and other fights and so on, or worse fights, but those anime have more than the fight, right? Because yes, that goblin fight, like I mentioned, is incredibly absurdly bad, but after the fight is over, that fight's only for like, let's say, 3 minutes, and then the rest of the minutes, right, are actually animated. She's moving around, she's talking, they have some soundtrack, and there's some etch service. The anime is quite etchy, so it has some, pencil scene or whatever, but it's like, it actually has it going for it, right? Something is happening. And so in total, this thing is worse because, okay, it's better fight, but nothing happened between. Yeah, but it's definitely down there. It's definitely top 10 absolute worst thing ever. And it's a little bit almost like you can argue that it's not the worst because it had that one fight scene. But if it hadn't had that fight scene, I would say easily, if the episode ended before the fight scene, then I would say this is easily the worst episode of all anime of all time. But... yeah, this can't even be called... but honestly, this is what I mean. This basically can't even be called anime anymore. Like, this shouldn't even be called anime because... and I mean it, right? I said this a few times now, but yeah, this can't even be called anime because, again, there's less animation than that CGI fight. The CGI fight, yes, okay, the CGI is standing still, but she's animated, right? Looks a bit ugly, but she's moving. And again, there's moving. Yeah, this had, like, no animation until it had one little fight, so... this is basically like reading a manga with colors. Anyway, I'm obviously cycling my head here, but I don't know. It's baffling bad, right? At least, sorry to use close it. I know I'm broke record, but use close it here, right? It's like, like I said earlier in the video, this anime used to be like so bad it's good, right? The first 3-4 episodes, they were bad. They weren't good, they were bad. But they weren't like unwatchably bad or like, oh yeah, this is ridiculous. They were like bad, but mostly bad in, how the storyline is crazy, right? Yeah. But they weren't bad as in like, oh, there's no animation, like it's just ugly. No, they were like kind of off, but like yeah. But now, like I said last week, now it's just. But now last week it went from like, oh, now it's just like bad. It used to be bad, but it's funny bad. But then it's just bad, and now it's just like atrocious. Yeah, now it's like this isn't an anime anymore. Now it's just. But I'm actually impressed how it's worse this week. Honestly, that's why I keep watching the anime. You know, it's kind of like people talking about Velmos and that. They're watching the TV show because they hate it, right? There's like a hate watch list, honestly. Here. Yeah, I'm honestly, I watch the anime because it's so incredibly bad, and it's somehow surprisingly is even worse every episode. Yeah, like this anime, like last week was like a 0 out of 10 episode, if you ask me, from an anime standpoint, right? You know, not maybe story, but the anime, but this episode here is absolutely way worse. So this anime is teaching me new levels of bottom. Yeah, it's like, well, actually, last week was, I guess, a 1 out of 10 because there was still deeper shit to go into, right? Yeah. But like I said, I can't stop watching the anime because it's like ridiculously bad, so I have to keep watching it because I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. Let's keep watching it. But anyway, let's get this wrap and have a great day, everyone.